What's up YouTube, it's Matt. Odds are, if you're watching my channel, you're probably a guitarist. And moreover, most guitarists at some point in their guitar playing history have had a dream to make a living or become rich as a musician. Now, everybody knows it's not easy and it's incredibly rare to become the guy who becomes a famous musician, who gets to tour and who makes tremendous amounts of money, on tour dates and stuff. It's a challenge. It's not something that's easy. And many people give up their dream because they can't find a viable way to make money as a guitarist or a musician in general. It doesn't matter what instrument you play. It's a challenge to be able to ditch that 9-to-5 job that so many of us wish we didn't have to work and have the opportunity to make that living playing music. So I wanted to do a video today to give new guitarists and even intermediate guitarists and people who have been around the block in music some better ideas of how to make a quick buck playing music, but also how to be able to potentially say goodbye to that day in, day out job that drives them crazy and start making money as a musician. It's really not as hard as it might seem as long as you know where to look. Okay, so today I'm going to take you through the top 5 ways to make money as a guitarist or a musician. The old school, always loyal, always awesome tip jar. Now, this is not necessarily a way to make money enough to pay your bills, but it can give you a pretty decent cash infusion if you need it at a given moment, okay? So the tip jar, you set up your instrument, whatever it is you play, guitar, flute, acoustic guitar, violin, saxophone, whatever. The key to the tip jar is not just playing in an area where there are a lot of people, so like maybe outside of a sports arena before a sporting event or a big music event, maybe a street festival. The real key to making money with the tip jar is to play outside of a busy area where there are a lot of bars, where there are a lot of people drinking, because it makes a huge difference in how open and willing they will be with their wallets and with their cash, okay? There have been instances where I have played outside of a big sports arena in my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky for 20 minutes and barely made a dime. But there have also been instances where me and a friend of mine would play out on the street near Bardstown Road. Now that's like the hip spot to be in Louisville, that's where all the bars are, the local restaurants and stuff, and they stay open late, where people would literally stop traffic to get out of their cars and throw money in the tip jar. So what it comes down to, if you're trying to make a quick buck with the tip jar, what you need to do is play somewhere where there not only are a lot of people, but where they are loosened up, feeling relaxed, and willing to go all out and maybe toss a 10 spot or a 20 in your tip jar. That is a way to make a quick buck if you've got a bill you need to pay or you just need to eat or put gas in your car even. The tip jar is a tried and true method and it still works today. Cover band. Cover band is something that can potentially make a lot of money if you're good at what you do and you're dedicated to your craft. The good thing about the cover band is that even though you may not be playing originals and that might be where your initial motivation is as a musician, you still get to control your set mostly depending on the venue that you're playing at, and you're playing the type of music that you love. The thing about cover band is that if you can get enough guys together and you get good at your craft, there are venues in most metropolitan areas that will pay a pretty penny for an act that can play a good 2, 3, and maybe 4-hour set. But considering 4 hours of work and maybe the band makes $1,600 to $2,000, that's $500 a member if you're a 4-piece, and for 4 hours of work, that's $125 an hour. Doctors barely make that much money, So if you've got a good group of guys, girls, what have you, just a good group of professional, responsible musicians, and believe me, I know how hard that can be to find sometimes, but you put something together, put a solid set together, and start looking around your area for casinos, for high volume bars, places such as those, there is some serious potential to make a lot of money as a cover band. And even as an individual, you know, if you are an acoustic guitar player or a violinist and you can play certain songs and maybe do a little bit of singing on your own, there are so many solutions and ways you can do that these days with looper pedals, things like that, even backing tracks. You don't know how many cover musicians I've seen playing with backing tracks these days. Maybe it used to be something that was kind of taboo, but it's not anymore. So if you want to make some serious money and start moving up the ladder of making that coin as a musician, a cover band is one of the first places you should try. So that brings us to number 3, weddings. Weddings can pay tremendous amounts of money if you know where to look and how to book. So with weddings, what makes it even better for the solo musician is you don't have to have a full band to perform at a wedding and get paid. You know, I started my channel 6 years ago as I was learning some classical guitar pieces. Now, nearly all of those classical guitar pieces could be ported over to wedding performance. You know, if you know Canon in D, if you know Yesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, you know, classic classical songs that are familiar to the ear of the casual music listener and will fit a wedding environment, there's potential to make a tremendous amount of money. Generally, as a classical guitarist, just for the ceremony alone, I make $100. Ceremony usually takes an hour, and you may play as many as 3 or 4 songs, but $100 for an hour's worth of work and you're only playing a few songs, I don't know how you can beat that. It's a solution that will allow you to keep your free time and potentially even keep a part-time job to supplement your income, but during wedding season, you could be doing multiple weddings a day and pulling in thousands of dollars a month. And it's even better if you do have a comparable group of musicians that you can band together with and play actual sets at receptions, because those prices are well into the thousands of dollars. Now that's a serious way that you can make music your means to an end, your way to pay your rent and get the job done. You just gotta be in all my videos, don't you? You just gotta be in all of them. You gotta be in all of them, don't you? Don't you? Don't you? All right, I'll see you later. Number 4, churches. Churches are an excellent opportunity for you to not only hone your skills and play with people who are talented musicians, but also get paid a regular check for playing music. Now see, that's the big difference between the 3 that I've laid forth so far and churches. The thing about churches is that the services will always be, or at least most of the time, will be at the same time every week on the same day. So you get to keep a schedule. You get to know comfortably and confidently that there's going to be money coming in every single week playing for churches. Now, there are churches everywhere. Everywhere in your city, it doesn't matter if you live in a tiny town or a big city, there are always churches of all kinds of denominations that look for musicians on the regular. A great place to look for churches who are potentially looking for a musician is on Craigslist. There are tons of ads on Craigslist for churches that are looking for musicians in my city, and my city's not that big. So I know that there have got to be more in larger cities, you know, that all across the nation. The thing is that I know plenty of church musicians who are bringing in nearly $1,000 a month just playing 3 or 4 shows a week as, you know, session bass player or session drummer or session guitarist in churches. And until recently, I didn't realize that that was such a viable means of making money as a musician, but it surely is. And if you're looking for a way to not only learn new music, but challenge yourself and learn new things every week and stay motivated to progress as a musician and play in front of some big crowds, churches are a great place to look. All right, number 5 on my list of top 5 ways for the regular musician to make a living playing music is theater work. Now, this is something that I didn't realize was as lucrative as it is until recently. The thing about theater work is it's going to be more difficult for amateur musicians to do. You have to be comfortable with your instrument. You have to be comfortable potentially playing in front of large crowds each night and sometimes multiple times a night. And you also need a reasonable proficiency at being able to read sheet music. Now, there are tons of guitarists that I know that are like, man, I don't need to read sheet music. I'm a guitar player. What the hell is that apply to me? The thing is learning sheet music is something that will open doors for you. I mean, there's no question about it, you know, and while sheet music itself is not generally written for the guitar player, most sheet music these days does contain chord charts and chord accompaniments for guitar players to make it a little bit easier. So realistically, if you've got a decent comfort with playing, or you know, with learning via sheet music, and you've played in front of audiences before, theater presents an opportunity to not only network with many talented musicians from all walks of life, but also potentially open doors through knowing these musicians. And also, it's consistent pay, consistent work. You know you're going to be working at a certain time this day, a certain time this night, you know. And usually the pay is better than it would be as, you know, potentially a cover band. It's especially better than a tip jar, because tickets to theater shows generally cost a lot more. And included in that ticket cost is your salary for being the musician they rely upon to get the show done. So that's it. That's my top 5 ways for the regular musician to make money. You know, of course, it would be awesome if we could all have that hit single and go on tour and live that life, but it's not reality for most folks. But that doesn't mean that you can't live your dream being a musician, all right? Stay tuned to my channel. It's 2017. I've got a ton of awesome stuff planned for this year, so subscribe and YouTube will let you know whenever I've uploaded something cool. And Happy New Year, guys. Happy 2017, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.